Hey, what's going on, everybody? Max here with Because Bitcoin, and today we are joined by King Wabi, one of our best analysts and also our head of partnerships and growth here at Because Bitcoin. Now, if you guys remember, maybe it was like 3, 4 months ago, give or take. The time kind of all blends together these days since we're in crypto and the markets never close. But it was a while ago. Wabi and I made a video on things we were bullish for next cycle. And we spent quite a bit of time comparing and contrasting Solana to that of Ethereum during its previous bear market accumulation range. So it was about ETH late 2018 through 2019. And we were both expressing a pretty bullish stance and posture on Solana, comparing it to that of Ethereum in the previous cycle. And at the time of the video, Solana was, well under $30. Might have even been
It
under
was in the
20.
teens.
Yeah, it
It
was in
was
the teens.
$16, $17.
It was a very, very cheap coin at the time. And now, things have progressed pretty quickly since we made out that video, we made that call. So basically, we're here to provide you guys with a solid update on how things have progressed since we made that first video, and then just give you guys some more updates on things that King Wabi and myself are seeing in the markets. But before we get into that, we are going to do this. One, quick reminder to like the video if you have not yet. And second, please consider subscribing to our channel. The reason we are able to grow so quickly is because of your guys' continued and diligent and consistent support of what we are building here on a daily basis. Now, we're going to just rewind and just pull an old clip from our first Solana video, and then we're going to get into the fresh stuff. So check this out. I'm willing to take a bet on them. I really am. And I just see so many similarities where even if it doesn't do this, in my opinion, worst case scenario, we come up to $150 per Solana and we pull a Neo. Best case scenario, they pull it together. They manage to actually, steal a lot of market share and interest from Ethereum, and they do something comparable to what the Ethereum fractal did during the, right after the Litecoin halving in 2020. So we are back. So now we're going to give you guys an update on what we are currently seeing with Solana and maybe some other stuff. Let's dive into the charts.
Let's go.
So here we have Sol on the left. We got ETH on the right. You can see at the time of the first video, we were down in the accumulation range, and things have gone pretty wild since then. From this low, Solana rallied 225% from the point that it originated to the top. But Wabi, talk to me about this Sol pump, brother. What are you seeing? Do you think it's time to take some profits? How you feeling?
Yeah, man. So, for those of us in the Discord and for those of us that follow us on Twitter and tune into our Twitter spaces, something that I've been saying over the last couple of months is you kind of want to look at Solana as a fresh token. And what I mean by that is if you look at Solana, the way it pumped, you see all that straight up only from 2020, 2021. That was mainly derived by, FTX and Alameda using retail money from their exchange to prop up a token. But as you saw during late 2022, during the industry implosion and of course all these hedge funds going bust, Solana basically retraced most of its entire move. And so like Ethereum, as it bottomed in late 2018, when you had all these ICOs dump all of their ETH on retail and all that stuff, Ethereum kind of had to create a new story of its own. And as we've seen over the last, three quarters of this year, going into the end of the year, Solana has kind of had this resurgence, sort of this rebirth, right? A phoenix rising from the ashes. And so a good pair that I've been looking at for Solana going into this upcoming bull market is the Solana ETH chart. However, one thing that I will say, I think the way Solana capitulated was unlike anything I've ever seen in the industry, right? At the bottom, it was quite horrific, and many people didn't really think it would come back, right? Even myself, I kind of struggled at that initial like week or so when Solana was trading in the single digits. But as we started progressing throughout the year, and these narratives started to come out, with Bonk, right? Sort of this meme coin, with Rollbit, this gambling platform and all that stuff. You started to see these fresh narratives come out on Solana, which eventually led the market, right? You had Bonk, which then led into Pepe, and then you had Rollbit, which led into a whole plethora of other things when it comes to derivative platforms. And so, year to date, Solana is probably up, from the time of this recording, last time I checked, Solana was trading in the mid 50s. So it's about 6.5x, right? And we actually pulled off a double top where Sol actually tested almost $70. So you're talking about almost a 10x, whereas Ethereum in 2019 really only pumped about 4x or so from the bottom, from about $80 to about $320, $340. So from an evaluation perspective, Solana has actually rallied more. But as you can see here from the chart, both Sol and ETH during the pre-halving years kind of filled up their gaps when the true capitulation dump started. So, it's not really too difficult to see that some people might be taking profits, right? As you can see here, right? During our previous video, we were really comparing Sol against ETH, but also Sol against NEO. And of course, it's been about 2 months since our video, and it's really following Ethereum's path, not only from a narrative perspective, right, creating all these, new stories to tell, but also from a chart perspective. And that's why here, because Bitcoin, we have a phrase that we like to say, the narrative often follows the charts, right? So, I could see Solana perhaps testing $40, even late 30s, mid 30s. But I truthfully think that by the end of the year, if you're not positioned in Solana, I think, by the time we get to the summertime of next year in 2024, these prices will be looked at as a golden opportunity, right? Even purchasing Ethereum, if you had bought an Ethereum at $300 in 2019, right, 2 years later, you would have been looked at as a genius, right? So short term, I could see a pullback. But over the long run, I do see Solana at the very minimum doing what Ethereum did last cycle. Now that, time has shown that, okay, this isn't just another token that's going to pull off another lower macro high. This is something that has proved itself, as you like to say, Max, in the belly of the beast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is what this bear market has shown, right? If your team isn't consistent in deliverables, you're just not going to make it, right? It's no longer this shilly wagme community. It's all about delivering. And Solana has also shipped out a few products that I've been positioned in throughout this rally. One of them is called Neon, which, shout out to our Discord community. Some of our guys got in there, even though it's extremely hard to get. Some of our guys did go in there. And, just like 2019, with Ethereum, you also had an initial basket of products that really showed that, Ethereum is going to be an outperformer in the 2020-2021 bull market, right? So just as things like, Chainlink and synthetics and also Ren protocol performed throughout Ethereum's, you can call it an echo bubble rally, Solana kind of had the same thing with Neon, right? For those of you that don't know, Neon is essentially an EVM built on Solana. So it's basically going to allow developers on Ethereum to easily deploy their dApps on Solana. So not only is it going to increase the amount of products on Solana, but it's also going to create a surge in liquidity. And everyone knows that the more liquidity a chain gets, the more incentive a chain gets, the more users it gets. The more users it gets, the more it's stress tested, and of course, price goes up and all that good stuff that we like to see.
Yeah. Yeah, Neon's been an absolutely fantastic trade, man. It's been so fun to just watch it play out, man. And it's still so young. But one thing, if we're talking about timing the market a little bit, and I love this comparison, comparing and contrasting Ethereum and Solana, back in 2019 for ETH and Sol now. Something, a pattern that we like to see all the time. Maybe you don't like to see it, but that we do see all the time is we have a capitulation, which is, this was right here for Sol. So Sol capitulated. We'll put this in red. And then you can see over here that, ETH in 2019 did the same thing. You had this major capitulation, and then you come back during a crazy rally and you retest and fill in some of these inefficiencies from this capitulation. So we're getting to that territory right now where it might make sense to take some profits, above $50, just to shave. And that doesn't mean we can't go higher. We certainly could. But like Wabi said, even if you bought Ethereum at the top of this rally, I mean, look what happened after, right? So if you bought Ethereum, I can't even get it to fit on the screen. We'll just do it from right here, right? If you had bought ETH at the worst time during this accumulation phase rally at $350, we'll just keep scrolling, right? So if you bought it at the worst time, not at the best time, at the worst time, and you only bought it once, then going all the way to an all-time high, it still went up in
12x, 13x, man.
yeah, I mean, it was
They're
still
crazy.
a fantastic play. So I don't know if the same thing will happen with Sol. Time will tell. I'm very bullish on it, just given what we've seen recently. But even if you're buying here and we just extrapolate this out, I mean, again, I can't even get it to fit the screen, right? I gotta just keep going. But the same thing happened with ETH, and I have a feeling that at the time, if you were buying ETH, at $300 down here, and then it went down to $100, you were probably like thinking it was over, and you probably thought that you lost all your money, and then crypto happens. And it has a way of proving everybody that doubts it wrong, and feeling that despair is, part of the cycle. But, look, the important thing to note is if you had, sold here, let's just say you bought down here for ETH, under $200, and then you sold around here, above 300, you were able to buy that back, 6 months later at a serious discount. So I don't know if the same thing will happen. Nobody knows for sure. History doesn't repeat exactly, but it often rhymes. If you can come back and maybe buy some Sol, somewhere around here, like $40, like Wabi mentioned, I think that would certainly be, a really good opportunity. And even if you don't want to sell here, it's good to just keep some cash on hand so that you can act on it if a big dip does come about. And you always have to give yourself the ability to jump on opportunities, even if you're super bullish. But imagine we do something like this, maybe distribute a little bit. You come down here, retest, 35, 40, like that breakout zone, and then it's just completely over for bears, right? And we could do something like that. And I don't think that many people would, be that opposed to it, truthfully. I mean, it would feel pretty nasty if you're overly exposed here, but, just keep in mind that this all right here, this big area, this was all like deep value and distressed pricing. We break out and we could come back and retest this breakout point right here. So anyways, just something to keep in mind. Wabi gave you guys the play down here in the teens. Like you saw the last video, he was saying like very bullish on this ecosystem down in this region. And now we're up 200%. And we're saying it could potentially be time to protect yourselves a little bit, and just wait for a reaccumulation. And it doesn't even have to be that aggressive. It could just be something like this, we could just go sideways a little bit and then move up, but he gave you the play down here, and now we're talking about it up here. So just keep that in mind. But anyways, Wabi, what else, man? Anything else?
So if we can look at some lower time frame stuff, I kind of want to
Sure.
see, what the charts are telling us in the immediate short term, right? Maybe we can look at the 4 hour or the hourly. I'm kind of wondering, right? Like, are we just going to distribute lowered, right? Kind of chop downwards, or is something telling us within the charts that a big 20-30% dip is headed our way, which that's what we've seen with some of these names that the group has been looking at, right? As these tokens now are up, 2, 3, 4x on the way there. They've had some really nasty pullbacks on the hourly, on the 15-minute, on the 4 hour, and they just go straight back up, right? I mean, even with Solana right there recently, right on the 4 hour that you're showing the audience, you'll see that it has these sharp corrections to that trend line, and then within the next day or two, a new high, right? So I don't really think we're going to be distributing. I think if this thing is going to go down to like $30, $32, I think we might see that within the next couple of weeks rather than the next couple of months, especially with like all this ETF hype. For those of you watching, we're going towards the second half of November here in 2023, and the ETF is expected. The spot ETF for Bitcoin is expected to pass in about 55 days, give or take maybe a day or two. And Kathy Wood was actually on CNBC speaking how something like Solana in the future may perhaps be in an ETF, right? So, maybe 2 years from now, 3 years from now, you'll have crypto's version of an ARK ETF where Solana is a core position.
That would really be interesting. And as Elon likes to say, man, the most interesting outcome is usually the one that comes to fruition. But this is a prime example of what Wabi's talking about right here. I mean, here's a really solid 4-hour trend line. And I mean, this goes all the way back here to October 19th is where it starts. You can see that as we've come back to revisit this trend, the kind of bounces that can come off of it, 50%, 60%. This is just, I just randomly put that there. But where you really want to see hold on Solana on the lower time frames is you want higher highs and higher lows to continually be respected, right? So you have right here, you have, a low set and then higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. We cannot have this trend break. If this trend breaks and we go on to make a lower low and then a lower high, that's where things can get a little bit ugly. So as of right now, things look pretty good, but we do need to see just a real simple TA. We want to see this trend line hold, and we want to see these consecutive, the stair step up, low, high, so on and so forth. We want to see this next one, not just go a little bit above the high if we are going to move up here, which, time will tell. You want to see it, really move up, and then, we can come back like that. We want to continually see things climbing up. Otherwise, it might be time for a cool off period. So I think a good rule of thumb is just if you see this trend line become broken, the thick one right here, and you see us down here, then it might just be time to cool off for a little bit. And by the way, even if we come down a little bit, let's just say we did something like this. Let's just say this is the top, hypothetically. If we came back and we reaccumulated here, let's just say even through like the first week of December, so it could take a few weeks. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to cool off. Who knows? And then you move up. That's just the market, right? It goes up and down.
Yeah, man. If we break that trend line, it's time to back up the truck once more, man. So I guess one last thing that we can do before we wrap up, Max, if we can show kind of like, what rallied in the ETH ecosystem, and also another name that's been rallying in the Solana ecosystem, to try to give some comparisons and also, prove to the audience that Solana is not only following Ethereum's footsteps, but it's also, it's also more than just a blockchain that goes down and has an on and off switch. So
Here's Solana, Ethereum, and for those that are unfamiliar with how these pairs work, it's basically just Solana denominated in ETH, or basically Solana compared against ETH rather than the US dollar. And you can see that during this rally, I mean, Solana has gone up over 100% against Ethereum. So it's been performing hands down much, much better than ETH has. And, I think a catch up trade is definitely coming, but, Q4 is historically not great for Ethereum. So it could just take a little bit. But it's hard to imagine that, we come back and we revisit this area. This is probably the accumulation phase of a lifetime that people will look back on, at least for now. Looking at Sol BTC, same thing. I mean, Bitcoin has performed relatively well here, but Solana has just lapped everything. Looking from right here, 100%. Sol has beaten Bitcoin's performance by 100%. So, just a fantastic move. Very happy to see Sol doing well. But just keep in mind, cool down periods do happen where if we come back and this is kind of a sticky area where you've got this previous low and then resistance. I imagine if you did come up here, maybe this could enter a reaccumulation and then higher. So again, we'd see something kind of like something like that. Just a little cool down period, just to rotate. And how you would trade this would be, if this goes down and you're like, oh, this looks good for a bounce, you would want to sell your Bitcoin and buy Sol. And right up here, if we're going to go down, you would want to sell your Sol and buy Bitcoin and then rotate back in right there. So that's how that pair trade would work. But Wabi, what do you say? Should I take us out?
Man, this has been a great video. We've been going for about 20 minutes. Guys, people in the Solana community, we're at Because Bitcoin. This is your first time tuning into us. Feel free to hit us with a like and subscribe. And also feel free to hit us up on Twitter or X. We do various live streams there throughout the week. And same thing here on Twitter. We go live here on YouTube at 10:50 a.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. Same thing with our X Spaces. Those are our afternoon shows, usually hosted at about 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. So if you guys like TAs such as this, charts and all that stuff, that's what Market Check, our morning live stream, caters to. If you guys want more of an audio experience, talking about narratives, dubious speculation, news events across the crypto asset class, that's where our Twitter Spaces, X Spaces, I'm sorry, come in hand. So thank you all so much. Feel free to hit bell notice to keep up with all of our content. And if you guys want to get in tune with myself, Max, and many other people in the Because Bitcoin community who are enthusiastic about all things digital assets, we're currently running an end of the year promotion. Go ahead and sign up with that link below for our Discord. You have your first month for free, and then the rest, it's about $150. Great value. We have 2 daily calls with all of our members, one in the morning at 9:15 a.m. Eastern and one at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, where we go in depth with all of our positions and we go into great detail with voice analysis, chart analysis during our private streams with our community. Thank you all so much. This is Wabi. Take care. We'll see you on the next one.